Every restaurant in the United States, including the faculty club here and the UCSB and all that, has something in the back that nobody wants to deal with. It's a 1,500-gallon concrete vault. Every drop of water that hits the floor, and oil, and grease, and fat from all that stuff that they cook, ends up going through that waste trap. Because the EPA, federal, California state, and every other state, and the local environmental agencies that have to promulgate the rules say you cannot put fats, oils, and grease, better known as fog, down a publicly owned treatment works sanitary sewer. So you have to trap it in a waste trap behind every restaurant in the United States. Every month, somebody has to take a 3,000-gallon vacuum truck, stick a tube down in that waste trap, suck out all the grease, collect it, and do something with it. People pay a guy with a 3,000-gallon, you guys are wondering what I'm doing with this ball, right? I'm waiting for the first person to look bored and I'm going to hit him with it, okay? People pay these guys with 3,000-gallon suck trucks money to come suck their waste traps. Every restaurant in the United States. My market is huge. But wait a minute, I'm not doing the suck truck. He collects that material, 1,500 gallons at a time. He makes 2 pickups a day. He has to do something with it. He has to pay a landfill and or a waste processor to get rid of all the stuff he sucked up in a truck. Aha, here's my other customer. I just solved him a problem. Hey, Mr. Waste Trap guy, let me have your fats, oils, and greases. I can pay you for them instead of you paying to have them taken away. He goes, really? I go, really? I love salesmen, but this is not too hard to sell. It's like, okay, let me understand something. I'm paying a dime a gallon to have this stuff taken away, and you're going to give me a dime? Whoa, people like this, right? All of a sudden, they're buying me beers. They're doing all kinds of cool stuff. That's my other customer, right? Because what do I do with that waste trap grease? I solve his problem. There's a whole bunch of other things that get into it, but that's the simplification of it. Now, how do I do that? Our little company has exclusive rights to a patent that was made up at the Idaho National Laboratories by a gentleman named Dan Guinnessar. And every drop of biodiesel that's made using the process that we've built, which is the first in the world, which is kind of wicked cool, is licensed, or we have exclusive rights for 10 years, blah, 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 all that stuff. So we have good intellectual property. You see the other 2 presentations? I'm trying to give you a definition of what I do. I haven't even introduced myself yet or told me what company it is, but that's my customer. That's how I make money. And how we do it is by doing some really wicked cool chemical engineering. So now I'll get to my presentation. Oh, I'm Mark Privitera, by the way. And the name of my company, oh, that's Christina's. I'm Mark Privitera, by the way. And I work for her. That's actually what I do, because she is the greatest engineer on the face of the planet. And I will argue that to the day I die. And anything she wants or needs, I make sure she gets, because she makes us successful. The name of my talk is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Who's seen the movie? Come on, it's a classic. If you have not seen the movie, tonight, your homework, you go, I don't know, download it on the internet or whatever the heck you guys do nowadays. I was going to say I was going to go get a VCR and, throw it in, but it'd show my age, right? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now, of course, it's El Buono, Brutto, and Cattivo, right? Because I'm Italian, but, it's a good spaghetti western. And there are some good parts of a startup. There are some bad parts of a startup. There are some ugly parts of a startup. But all in all, it's a great thing. We are going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of some very famous startups, okay? These are not your average 20th century startups, except for the Apollo moon landing, of course. I don't think most of you guys were born with the Apollo moon landing, but they're good examples of how startups work right now. Let's take one of my favorite examples of a startup, Lewis and Clark. Who was their customer? Thomas Jefferson. Thomas told Meriwether, hey man, I want you to go find me a route by water to the other side of the United States, which nobody really had mapped or knew that it was there. Very clear goal. What's our goal in our company? What's Michael's company's goal? What is Kelly's company's goal? Any startup you look at should have a very clearly defined goal. What was Lewis and Clark's goal? Find the water passage to the other side of the country back in 1804, right? Lewis and Clark had to get across the other side of the country. What did they do? They had to have vision. What's one of the things that Michael said you have to have, right? What did John describe in his presentation, all right? There was massive uncertainty. There's Indians out there. Oh, my goodness. There's people, we could die of whatever. We could be dead at the next turn, right? We didn't know how do you get across? Are there big mountains out there? These guys had to look through and say, you know what, doesn't matter. We're just going to go for it, The objective was clear. A lot of startups that, now that I'm in the startup world, pardon me, to those guys who were in the startup world a lot earlier to me, but you run into other people and you talk about things, right? It's like, well, how's it going? How's your startup going? What kind of troubles are you guys having? What type of issues? A lot of times, and we almost fell into this, our little company, you get lack of focus, right? You have to stay focused on what that goal is. I am getting to Oregon, okay, because I know Oregon is nice. I don't know, Lewis and Clark, I don't know what they thought, right? But they wanted to get to Oregon to prove that they could find the path across the country. So you've got to make sure that the objective is clear. Our objective is to make more plants. We have to get to 6 plants. That is our objective. Got plenty of customers. It's easy to sell this stuff to customers. Not a problem. Got plenty of feedstock. Easy to find the feedstock. But getting to 6 plants is where the magic starts happening, right? That's what the financial guys, who are your best friends, and the salesmen, I agree with Michael, because the sales guys are like the guys Lewis and Clark put out on point. Hey, go see what's over the next hill. See if we got a whole 20,000 Indians over there waiting to kill us, right? That's what our sales guys do, right? Then the engineers come in, we do our stuff, and we make everything happen. But without those lead guys, the guys on point, you got troubles. You don't know where you're headed. Now, you have got to be prepared. They just didn't walk out into the wilderness, right? Lewis and Clark, with their plan, put in certain things. They picked their rifles, right? They picked their weapons. Now, they had to sell their plan to a whole bunch of guys. They had to bring people in, because you can't do it by yourself. You have to bring great people in to make it work. Lewis and Clark, and Lewis, because he had this strategy, went to Harper's Ferry, picked out his guns. Well, what else did he do? He picked out the people that he met along the way. Gunsmith at Harper's Ferry said, ooh, you're going to Oregon? That's pretty cool. I want on that one. And you kind of find people in that way, right? You're looking for a certain thing, and you've got to be open to that, right? You've got to have a plan, and you've got to know what you're talking about. I need that gunsmith. I need that gunsmith because I know when I get over to Montana, right, and there is no blacksmith shop there, this guy will be able to know how to set up the blacksmith shop off the back of a wagon or whatever they're carrying, off the back of their horses or their dugout canoes, right, and be able to keep our guns firing, right? 1804, that was a big deal. It's just like engineering, right? Our distillation column goes down. I need somebody who can look at what's going on with that distillation column and get it going like right now. So you find people like that, just like Lewis and Clark did, right? You've got to know your stuff because the plan doesn't always work out. 50, 100, I don't know. We've had many plans, and I'll tell you, 100 things didn't work out right. And when you're burning venture capitalist money, or if you've only got a certain amount of cash coming in and you've got a certain burn rate, which you'll hear more about what all those are, you've got to make sure that cash flow keeps going, right? Or else you're either going to run dry, or you're going to have some problems being able to pay vendors, or you're going to have problems making things happen. So you've got to be able to kind of figure out when the plan doesn't work out, what you can do. You got to keep a cool head, right? And you've got to be confident, and you figure out a way to do it without kind of destroying everything.